by the year 2035, which is just 25 years away, all the Himalayan rivers will dry up, and there was a very big havoc created, and the scientists were in hot debate. And later, that scientist, I don't want to spell out his name here. And later on, he corrected his version by saying that there was a typing error. It's actually 2335, not 2035. So we are actually 325 years before the big disaster. And also, it has been forecasted that since last while talking about the climate change, until 1990, since 10,000 years we had stable temperature, and since 1990 we have unstable temperature, and the climate change, global warming is occurring. And the scientists say that in 100 years from now, from 1990 to 2090, the global temperature may rise from 1.4 degrees Celsius to 5.8 degrees Celsius. So we can imagine what will happen then. And 100 years is not that far away. Now, from now, it's just 80 years. I mean, if we think of 2090. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gavin?
Yes, well, I don't claim to be an expert on rice, but just a comment from being involved in a project in Bangladesh in the 1990s. One thing I learnt during that project was the significant erosion of genetic diversity that had a huge impact on the capacity of rice farmers to respond to changing conditions, particularly with flood and so on. Traditionally, they had different varieties that they might even have the capacity to replant their crop as the seasons progressed, depending on the flooding, and that capacity to adjust in the short term was removed by when I think over time they went from 100 or more varieties to I'm not sure if it was a handful, but a much smaller than what they'd traditionally had to cope with. Is that on now?
Yeah.
And then just generally to respond to both, I think both of the people that spoke I would go back to the issue of behavioural change, and I just want to use an example because I think there are some people who have the capacity to embrace. There are some people who have the capacity to embrace uncertainty, and others who will, when faced with uncertainty, will not cope well at all. And I want to give two examples of two farmers in Tuscany in Italy who I spoke with in 2007, both farmers but also both business people. One was a tomato grower, and when asked about how he would respond to climate change and the uncertainty associated with that, his response that he would like to build a massive greenhouse to enclose his crop to completely protect it from the weather. So that was the response of a tomato grower. There's another farmer, in fact part of a community of people that had about 200 hectares of land, and they were one of the only farms the only farm in the area that did not need to have a drought subsidy when they had a severe drought about 7 or 8 years ago. And the reason for that was because they had built stability through diversity. So followed what are really fundamental ecological principles and built those into their farming systems, so that they built capacity for the situation where if there was an extreme event like a drought, they weren't totally without some sort of crop that they could sell and also survive from. I think that sort of philosophy doesn't just apply to a farmer; it actually applies to right across the board. And I think we're going to increasingly have to start thinking in that sort of way.
Thanks, Gavin. So, do we have any more questions or reflections from the floor? Yes, yes.
Oh, sorry. Popo Wong from, I've retired, so it's okay. Just a reflection and a comment on what's made by Kevin. I think at the end of the day, it's not a question of certainty or uncertainty. It's a question of, as you say, is having a base of diversification. Because I look at a simple farmer. If a farmer is adapting to environmental changes, he is not sure about anything, right? There will be two components. One component that is certain, one component that is uncertain. We scientists always look at the uncertainty. I think we should learn from the farmer. What is that uncertainty?
Thank you, Popo. Anyone else? Yeah, yes, and then further back.
Man Pong from Stockholm Environment. A little bit of comment, but mostly questions. We talk about certainty and uncertainty. How do you deal with something that is, we talk about the range of change. How do you deal with, for example, the planning horizon that is normally at provincial level? For example, we talk about subnational level. How do you deal with the 2 years or 5 years development plan and the strategic thinking that is, climate change would not make itself felt very strongly in the next 50 years or 100 years? How do you deal with these two different horizon of planning, the challenge, if any other country have experience or any comment about this? The second one, yesterday in the vertical group, there were experts who were saying that maybe in terms of planning at national level, it might be more suitable to do sectoral planning, agriculture, hydrology, and all those. And the subnational level, where most of adaptation take place, things are more integrated. Take example of district or province. You look at all things that make living well. So the question on this, we work with the province would say, 1 degree, 2 degree, or 3 degree. When you are certain, come back and tell me, otherwise go and agree with each other first. It's a killer assumption, but this is what they are saying. One point of saying is that there are two things at provincial level. One is the administrative unit planning, but another is the spatial planning or ecosystem planning, basin, take basin, for example, river basin. The challenge that was raised then is that provincial planning right now is within our admin boundary. Another is environment plan, which is the ecosystem. The two planning are not compatible. Has anyone in this room or experience that you have experience in trying to bring both together at provincial planning plus the river basin planning together? And what are the steps and what are the challenges? It would be good. You don't have to answer all the things right now. You can point to the case or example website to go to. I think we can benefit and learn from that. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's just pick up a couple more. Yeah, there's one at the back there.
This is Abu Said from BCS, Bangladesh Center for Advanced Studies. So I like to address one of the uncertainty issues. Actually, I was trying to draw some curves so that I can visualize how the uncertainty works in development planning, something like that. And the question from my previous presenter, she was asking about how to integrate this ecosystem and basin planning or this administrative type of planning. That is we have done very recently. You can say it if you take the ecosystem first and you can overlay the boundaries of administrative units over that one, but you do the planning based on the ecosystem or basin and just overlay the administrative units so that you have the interventions or whatever you are going to do activity as for which administrative unit you are doing what. If you do the planning for basin or landscape, so you do the plan for landscape or ecosystem first or basin, then you overlay the administrative units over there. Then you know for which administrative unit what you are doing. So is it clear? So, yeah, and in that case, if you need more information, just you can contact me. I'll try to clarify it more. And regarding the development planning and uncertainty of that, if we consider any uncertain event like a cyclone, we have a regular activity at national level or provincial level, whatever it is, and we have a regular growth rate for national level. So when we are trying to push or pull up the poor people from their present income level, whatever, and we are planning some activities from national level, and there is a cyclone or flood, whatever it is, and because of that, the regular curve of development cannot go. If it is going like this, and this is the timeline, and this is your investment, and when at certain level the investment is optimum, you cannot put money more and more, and the development will go like that. It's not going like that. So after this point, if you have a cyclone or flood, so it's just putting the people behind. They cannot adapt to this situation again. So if it is happening every year or now and then, so the people are taking back at different times. So you cannot take this one. This is the issue with the uncertainty of development planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have one more before I go back to the panelists? Yes.
Thank you. My name is Chanon Thaicharan from Mekong River Commission, Vientiane. I would like to draw back the floor up to the context of the themes about the uncertainty and